Hey guys, welcome back to another CXC review session. I'm your host, Ms. Bayakem, and today we'll be reviewing the May-June 2016 CXC Biology past paper. Let us begin. So question 1. Which of the following features is used to classify a group of organisms as class Insecta? So we have A, size, B, shape, C, color, D, number of body segments. So the answer would be D, number of body segments, because we spoke about this in the 2015 CXC Biology past paper, where we said that insects have 3 body segments, which is the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. So if we were supposed to compare two insect sizes or two insects, say for instance the ants and the butterfly, we realize that they have different size, shape, and color. All right, so we would not use those features to classify an insect. Question 2. Eleanor collected 13 snails in a 25 cm times 25 cm quadrant. What is the density of the snail population in a 1 meter cube area? So now this question we have to actually analyze it and work it out to get the answer. All right. So now we know that Eleanor collected 13 snails, and we know that the quadrant is 25 cm times 25 cm. And now we're learning that we're actually going to find the density of the snail population in a different area, all right, which is 1 meter cube. So the first thing we got is that 25 cm times 25 cm, which is equal to 625 cm, which is also, let me do it this way, 13. So now that's 625 would be the final product of the 25, which is equal to 13. And why it's equal to 13 is because in the 25 cm times 25 we collected 13 snails. Okay, and then for the last part we have a 1 meter, so it's 1 meter, and I can't get the 2 in the air, guys, so just work with me, is equal to x, and it's x because we don't know how many, or we don't know the density. All right, so the next thing we have to realize is that to work out this equation we have 2 different units, so we cannot do anything without converting one of these units. So it's either we're going to convert to centimeter or we're going to convert to meter cube. So I'm going to convert from meter cube to centimeter. All right, so I know that 100 centimeter equal to 1 meter. There should be a C here, so 100 centimeter is equal to 1 meter. So if it's square, then it would be 100 times 100. All right, and we would get that in centimeter, and that would be 10,000. all right, so if we're utilizing that same formula that we came up with, 625 cm cube is equal to 13 snails, then 1,000, well 10,000 actually, 10,000 is equal to the same x, because remember we just converted everything into 1 unit so we can actually work it out. So it would be, so we would cross multiply here, and then it would be 13 times 10,000, which would give us 13,000, and then x times 625. All right, so this one is at the edge. Let me pull it up a little. So now it would be x 625 equal to 13,000. All right, and to find x we have to bring over the 625, which we would have to do the opposite operation because x and the 625 are being multiplied, so we have to divide. So 13,000 divide by 625 would give us, so X would be equal to 208, and that would be the density, all right? And the answer would be C. So if you follow all those applications, you should get the answer, which is C. All right, guys? So the answer is C. So let us move on to question 3. So question 3. Living organisms such as plants are affected by abiotic factors which determine where they become established. Which of the following options describe some of these determining factors? All right, so we have to know what the abiotic factors are. So the abiotic factors usually affect the environment. So we have A, sunlight availability, soil pH, minerals, then B, parasitism, commensalism, mutualism, C, sediment size, shape and color, deforestation, that's for D, deforestation, slash and burn, and shift in cultivation. So the answer would be A, because these are factors that actually affect the environment. So sunlight availability, soil pH. So 3 would be A. So for 4, item 4 refers to the following diagram of a food web. So this is the food web. All right. Like I said, I usually go to the actual question. The trophic level 1 is represented by, if we look at the food web, all right, trophic level 1 would be the first trophic level, and it is represented by the phytoplankton, which would be the plant. So it's B. All right. Items 5 refers to the diagram of a mushroom. So the organism shown above is so we have A, producer, B, consumer, C, detrivivore, D, decomposers. So the answer is C, detrivivore. All right. So question 6. Item 6 to 7 refers to the following options. So we have A, parasitism, B, commensalism, C, mutualism, D, synergism. So for items 6 to 7, match each one above with one of the options below. So for 6, the relationship between wild pine and a flamboyant tree. So that would be commensalism, because the wild pine would act as an epiphyte, which would grow non-parasitically, so it would attach itself to the tree trunk or to the tree because it would use its roots. And most of the time these plants are seen high up in the air because they want to be closer to the sunlight so they can photosynthesize. So 6 is B, commensalism, and then 7, the type of relationship between the leguminous plant roots and the nitrogen fixing bacteria. That would definitely be C, which is mutualism. So remember, mutualism means that both organisms benefits, while commensalism means that only one organism benefits while the other is not harmed. So in 6, the wild pine benefits because it gets support and it also gets water from that tree to aid in its photosynthesis. While in 7, the leguminous plant and the nitrogen fixing bacteria, they both get something because both of them benefits. So what happened is that the bacteria gains carbohydrate, which is produced by the plant during photosynthesis, and it also gains protection, while the plants gain nitrogenous compound as the bacteria would fix the nitrogen in the soil. All right. So question 8. So items 8 refers to the following diagram, which shows energy flow through an ecosystem. So the energy flow is now 100% efficient because energy is A, recycled from plants to the atmosphere, B, lost through respiration and excretion, C, circular, moving in and out of organism, and D, linear, moving from one organism to the next. So just go and quickly look at the diagram. So we're seeing that heat is being lost by the producer, heat is also being lost by the consumers, and heat is being lost by the decomposers. So that's why they said the energy flow is not 100% efficient because energy is lost. Remember, heat is energy, all right? And that is because A, it is recycled from plants in the atmosphere. No, because we realize that the producers, which are usually plants, are losing. B, lost through respiration and excretion. C, circular and moving in and out of organism. You realize that it's not circular, so it's not going around in a circle. And then linear, moving from one organism to the next, and you realize that heat is lost, but it doesn't say that it's going into another organism. So the answer would have to be lost through respiration and excretion, which would explain why we have, producers, consumers, and decomposers losing heat. So question 9. Which of the following is not an example of renewable energy resource? So we have A, oil, B, wind, C, solar, D, biomass. So we're looking for renewable energy, something that can be reproduced, right? So oil would not be renewable, it would be non-renewable because once the oil is used up, that's it. All right, so that would be A. So number 9 is A. Number 10. Which of the following practices does not help to conserve the environment? So we're looking for practices that doesn't conserve the environment. Conserve means to protect or preserve. So we have A, overgrazing, B, crop rotation, C, reforestation, D, using natural fertilizers. So the answer would be A, overgrazing, because all of the other suggestions refer to conserving and protecting the environment. So number 11, human activities would have the least immediate impact on A, coral bleaching, B, eutrophication, C, overpopulation, and D, formation of fossil fuels. So the answer would be D, formation of fossil fuels, because we have no control over the formation of fossil fuels. That's a renewable resource and that's a natural process also. Number 12, which of the following effects of climate change poses the greatest threat to small islands? So I have A, rising sea levels, B, ocean acidification, C, increased greenhouse gas, D, increased global temperature. So the answer would be the rising sea level, all right? So 13, the greatest threat to the survival of the coral reefs are A, decreased nitrogen level, B, decreased greenhouse gases, C, increased ocean temperature, and then D, increased dissolved oxygen levels. So the answer would be C, increase ocean temperatures, because if we realize all of these are positive, so if we decrease nitrogen level, that's good. If we decrease the greenhouse gas, that's good. And if we increase dissolved oxygen, that's also good. All right. So now 14. So 14 is a graph. So items 14 refers to the following graph of our population growth. All right. So phase 4 of the graph, the population is most likely due to. So if we look at the graph, so it's started out slow, then it's increasing, when constant, then it's decrease. All right. So phase 4A, a disease resistance. If it's disease resistant, there would be no decrease in the population, so that's out of it. B, high natural birth rate. If there's a birth rate, it would still be an increase, it wouldn't be decreasing. C, adequate food and space. If there was adequate food and space, then there won't be a decrease here. And then D, competition from invasive species. And D would be the answer because of competition now. The organisms or the animal that was there first, they're dying out. All right. So now question 15. A mature plant cell is different from a mature animal cell because the plant cell has some of A mitochondria. Both plant cells have mitochondria, plant and animal cell. B cell membrane, they both have cell membrane. C large permanent vacuole, and then D a nucleus suspended in the cytoplasm. So both of them have a nucleus suspended in the cytoplasm. So the answer would be C. Both of them have vacuole, but only the plant cell have a large permanent vacuole, and that should be the cue or the key pointers. So question 16. Item 16 refers to the following diagrams. As usual, go to the actual question. Which of the following option most likely identify the organelles of I and 2 above? So go look back at the diagram. So now I would definitely be the mitochondria based on the structures or the organelles on the inside, and then 2 would definitely be the chloroplast because we can see the thylakoids, how they're packed on each other. Alright, so it would be mitochondria and the chloroplast, which would be C. So 17. Which of the following organelle is correctly matched with its function? So we have a table, organelle, and function. So we have A, ribosomes, site of protein synthesis. B, mitochondria, airspace in the cell. C, nucleus, controls the movement of fats in the cell. D, the vacuole, site of energy use. So now that's not the function of the vacuole, that's the mitochondria's function, so that's out of it. So the nucleus controls the movement of fats in the cell, that's not the function of the nucleus, because the nucleus is the brain, it controls everything that goes on, but not necessarily the movement. And the nucleus houses the DNA, which is the genetic information. So the mitochondria is a site of energy. So that's not the function of the mitochondria. So the ribosome is the only one that correctly matched, which is the site of protein synthesis. So number 18. In a comparison between osmosis and diffusion, which of the following statement is not true? So let's just read through the statements. Osmosis occurs only in living cells. Both processes require energy to move particles across a concentration gradient. Diffusion sometimes requires a partially permeable membrane. And D, with both processes, molecules move from a high concentration to an area of lower concentration. So if we don't remember, diffusion is the movement of particles or gases from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration until it is evenly distributed, while osmosis is the movement of water molecules from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration across a semi-permeable membrane or partially permeable membrane. And now we have to answer this question based on the process of elimination. So it's saying osmosis occurs only in living cells. Okay, both processes require energy to move particles across a concentration gradient. So for the most part, based on both definitions that I gave you, I did not mention energy. So the answer would be B. So that is not true about both processes. All right. So we're at 19. 19 is a diagram. 19. Items 19 refers to the following diagram, which represents a metabolic process carried out in plants. Right. So based on this process, they're asking the food produced is, if we look at the picture, we can see that this process is photosynthesis, and the food produced in photosynthesis is B, starch. Alright. So number 20. Item 20 refers to the following diagram showing the cross-section of a dicotyledonous leaf. As usual, the question, which of the following statements about the labeled parts are true? So we have I, so let's just go look back at the diagram. So we have I is the cuticle, 2 looks like the palisade cells, right? And then 3 looks like it's around the xylem or phloem or closer to the spongy mesophyll. Alright. So now I allow maximum sunlight penetration through the transparent cell. Okay. 2 allows for transpiration via the spongy cells. And 3 allows for gaseous exchange via the spongy cells. So I will go with I and 3 because transpiration doesn't really happen in the spongy cells. So I and 3, and that would be B. Alright. So the answer is B. So question 21. Items 21 refers to the following diagram. So we have the rate of photosynthesis on the y-axis and then light intensity on the x-axis. And we also have the graph going this way and the percentage of carbon dioxide. A. As photosynthesis rates increase, there is a decrease in carbon dioxide level. We realize that the increase, eventually the level remains constant, so that's out of it. As light intensity increases, the rate of photosynthesis also increases. So as light intensity increases, rate of photosynthesis increases, yes. Until a stationary phase exists when denaturation occurs. Okay, we have stationary phase. Okay. And then C, as the light intensity increases, there is an increase in photosynthesis until there is no further increase in the rate due to some other limiting factors. And then D, as carbon dioxide levels gradually increase, there is a similar increase in the rate of photosynthesis until a plateau exists where no further increase in carbon dioxide results in any further increase in the rate of photosynthesis. So the two closest one that I'm seeing here is B and C. So if you find some answers that are close, I normally read over the question, and if it's a diagram, I'll look back at the diagram. So they're asking, which of the following statements best account for the shape of the graph? So we realize in the graph that as the photosynthesis increased, the light intensity was increasing until something happened and it is constant. So the rate of photosynthesis actually is constant, but the light intensity is still increasing. Right, so B, as the light intensity increases, the rate of photosynthesis also increases until a stationary phase exists when denaturation of enzymes occur. And then C, as the light intensity increases, there is an increase in photosynthesis until there is no further increase in the rate due to some other limiting factor. So there's an increase in photosynthesis, yes, until there's no further increase in the rate due to some other limiting factors. So it was increasing and then there is no other. I would go with C. So C is the answer. 22. Items 22 refers to the following diagram of a tooth. Which option correctly identifies the structure labeled I, 2, 3, and 4? So let's just look back at the diagram. So I, looking at it, I would be the enamel, which is the outermost part of the tooth. Then 2 looks like the dentine, yes. And 3 would be the pulp. And 4, let's see what 4 is. 4 is looking like the capillaries, so it would be the enamel, the dentine, pulp, and capillaries in that order. Enamel, dentine, pulp, and capillaries, which is C. 23. Which of the following conditions are optimum for the action of salivary amylase? So we have a table, so we have temperature, pH, amount of maltose produced. So A, 20 to 30 degrees. pH 1 to 2, and then the amount would be 12. B, 30 to 40, pH 7 to 8, and maltose 73. C, 30 to 40, pH 9 to 10, and 64. Then D, 40 to 50, that's the temperature, pH 7 to 8, and 32. So now, salivary amylase will work best at body temperature basically. So definitely between 30 to 40. So 30 to 40, all right? So the pH would not be too acidic, nor would it be too basic or alkaline. So it would be B, and then the amount of maltose produced would be 73. So 23 is B. So 24. Item 24 refers to the following diagram. Okay, we have some food. Then, which two food groups should a person suffering from hypertension and diabetes limit? So hypertension, high blood pressure, and diabetes, increase in sugar. So the person should limit products that have a lot of sweet and a lot of starchy food. So the food group would definitely have to be I, where we have fats and oils, and 4, where we have a lot of starchy food. So that's I and 4, and that's B. 25. Which of the following can be ingested to prevent osteomalacia or rickets? So we have A, calcium, we have B, vitamin A, C, vitamin C, and D, magnesium. So the answer would be calcium, all right? Because rickets, so they have to do with, weak bones. 26. Which of the following options correctly matches the gaseous exchange structure with the organism? So we have humans, fish, and plants, and we're trying to find the gaseous exchange structure. So we have human, trachea, that's not where gaseous exchange happens. So that's out of it. I don't even have to go any further. Then B, alveoli, yes. Gill filaments for the fish, yes. And large leaves. So B is the answer. I don't need to go any further. So the answer would be B. So 26 is B. 27. The role of respiration is best described as respiration is the release of energy from food. So that would be A, the release of energy from food. So it would be A. I don't need to go any further. So 28. Which of the following best identifies some of the transport substances in animals? All right, so we have to know what are some of the substances that are transported in animals. So we have amino acids, hormones, sucrose, respiratory gases. I would say everything except 3. Sucrose. We don't transport sucrose. So that's 1, 2, and 4, and that's D. So now 29. Item 29 refers to the following diagram of the heart. All right. So which of the following options identify the structure labeled I, 2, 3, and 4? So I would be the aorta, and then just about 2 is coming from the left, the right ventricle actually. So that would be the pulmonary artery, and then 3 would be the pulmonary vein, and 4 would be a valve, that would be the bicuspid or the mitral valve. So it would be A. So A would be correctly labeled. All right. And question 30. An ammoebia obtains all the oxygen it needs by diffusion via its cell membrane, while a human needs to have a special respiratory surfaces for this purpose. The best reason for this difference is that A, the ammoebia does not require much oxygen. B, oxygen cannot pass through the skin of human. C, a human requires a larger volume of oxygen. And then D, a human surface area to volume ratio is too small for diffusion to be effective. So the answer would be D, a human surface area to volume ratio is too small for diffusion to be effective. So guys, we're at the end of the video. See you next week when we post the other half of the video. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe so that YouTube know that this content is important, and to let me know that this is important to you and I should continue to do more videos. See you in the other half of the 2016 Csec Biology paper.